Scott Peterson gets a new hearing. Richard Allen finally goes to trial, and Judge Francis C. Gull finally follows the procedures and laws for the state of Indiana. And James Crumbly meets the same fate as his wife, Jennifer Crumbly. That's just a preview of what we'll be watching next week, and we think that you also should take a look at. Hello and welcome. Enjoy some wine with us, and we'll talk about the wine at the end. Okay, so the first thing that's going on next week, we wanted to give you a little preview from True Crime and Wine Couple, and Guapito's with me here. My dog.
My nemesis.
And Pete's least favorite dog in the house. So anyway, that's what's going on next week. So Scott Peterson is going to have a hearing that will be held on the 12th. I'll have to fact check that because I think I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right, okay. Mm-hmm. So what this is about the LA Innocence Project is trying to hear his case, and he's getting a hearing that there was lack of sufficient evidence to convict him. I also heard other people may be involved because it was on Court TV, and there was a woman who spoke with Court TV, and they want to retest forensic evidence because in the murder of Laci Peterson, the only forensic evidence they had was a piece of hair that resembled Laci's hair. They never said it was a positive match, in a pair of pliers. And they had a little bit of blood, right? A little bit of blood. Yes, there was something on Scott Peterson's boat had some blood on it, right?
Yeah, on the boat.
On the boat, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only forensic evidence they have. Everything else was circumstantial, like what he had told his mistress, and the fact that he was having an affair, and the fact that he took his boat on Christmas Eve, which is really weird, and I think probably helped really seal his fate. So hearing will be coming up. There hasn't been a lot of information about that yet, so we'll be staying tuned. And if you want to check that out, you're definitely going to want to get on that this week.
And they're going to be examining the evidence found in that van, right? That they discovered.
I don't know if that's what's going to be at the hearing. They haven't really gone into a lot of detail about the hearing. Like, this is just breaking news.
Right.
So, but yes, that was part of what the LA Innocence Project is looking to do. They want to get new evidence that they say contains DNA on a mattress in a van that was found near the Peterson home, and there had been burglaries the week that Laci had gone missing.
And there was also evidence that the neighbors saw her walking their dog after he had already left.
After he'd already left, right. She had left the house and walked the dog, right? Yeah.
So.
And then the dog returned, but she didn't. That's what, okay. So that's going to be happening next week. I'll be following that. This is very controversial. A lot of people believe he's guilty and he's where he belongs. And then a lot of other people believe that he deserves to have this evidence looked at and that there wasn't enough to convict him. And back when Scott Peterson was convicted, there wasn't a lot of that kind of stuff. There wasn't a lot of DNA. There wasn't all the media coverage. There wasn't all the stuff we have now.
No, definitely not. There just wasn't.
Right.
Well, I mean, now with social media, the media coverage, just the coverage of everything is just out there all over the place. So.
Well, that's another thing I'm wondering too. Like, if he's going to get a new trial and this is going to get looked at by the eyes of fresh jurors, and then you have the CSI effect, which is in jurors that view crime scene investigation shows and things like that and think they know, myself included. I mean, I teach forensics,
I think I would fall into that category.
Yeah. So jurors are different. We want to see DNA now. We want to see the hard evidence.
We want to see the concrete evidence, right?
Because we're so used to DNA. We're so schooled now in the basics of forensic science and things like that. So we don't go for
circumstantial
evidence than we used to now. I mean, and even I ran this by my students who are, they're a group of 20 seniors in high school, and they can't believe he was convicted. Like, they're shocked because they are, 18 and 17-year-old kids that, are used to the CSI effect. So that'll be interesting. Keep watch on that. We'd like to know your thoughts on that, so leave us a comment. we both did believe, if you watch our old video, that they should test the evidence. Why not? Why wouldn't you want the right person convicted?
Exactly. You know, you have other evidence. Test it. Hopefully, it'll just confirm what's already been done, and he can stay where he is. And
Right.
but if they have the wrong guy, don't you want to catch the right guy? You know?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. But now, I have to say as a disclaimer, we are not coming from this as victims of the crime.
No.
So we really can't say we know how the victims feel.
No,
Or
but
the families of the victims.
I would think if I was a family of the victim, though, I would want to be sure that the person responsible is the person paying the price.
You would think, but you never really know what you're going to do until you're in the situation.
That's true, right?
So, like I said, I feel like I cannot speak for her family.
No,
I mean, that's so
definitely
tragic.
not.
She was only in her early 20s. She was pregnant. She was beautiful. By all accounts, she was an amazing person. You know, so I don't know how they feel. I guess it...
And he was not a good guy.
No, he was not a good guy.
But just by not being a good guy doesn't mean you should spend your rest of your life in prison for murder if you didn't do it.
And you know what's amazing? If you haven't listened to it, listen to the conversations he had with Amber Fry and how he sweet talks her and what a sweet talker he sounds like and what a nice guy he sounds like. It's very interesting to hear that and to know that he was playing both sides.
Right.
You know, very similar to if you listen to, you know, the Chris Watts interrogation, you know, similar playing both sides thing. So I think they're going to give him a new trial. What do you think? Make a prediction.
I think he'll get a new trial, especially if they can have some other evidence.
Right.
That they if there's other evidence out there that was not in the original trial, then that should be a basis for a new trial.
And another thing too, if more people are involved, you want them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want them all brought to justice.
Right.
So stay tuned for that. I think he will get a new trial. I just don't know when, and I just don't know how.
It'll probably be way down the road, but I guess we'll see how this hearing goes and see if they, you know, at least give it some consideration.
And now the LA Innocence Project is different from the New York Innocence Project. They're not as influential. They're not as big. They're on a much smaller scale, and they haven't had as many people exonerated. As I think it's about a quarter of what the New York one did. So stay tuned for that. Next up, we have my favorite case, and Pete's favorite too now, right?
Yes, definitely.
The Delphi murders. So Richard Allen's defense attorneys filed a motion to begin his trial within 70 days. Now, I'm hearing conflicting things about this. I'm hearing that they have to do the trial. Judge Gold doesn't have a choice, so she's got to schedule it within the 70 days. But then I heard something on court TV today about if the court is boogered up or congested, they can get around that.
And I was also under the impression for that motion to for the speedy trial don't they have to do that at the beginning? Can they do it willy-nilly, like, oh, okay, you know what, we want a trial now?
Well, what they're saying is they don't have enough evidence to convict him. So they're pushing the trial, which is really weird because if they don't have enough evidence to convict him, just let it go. But it's like a dichotomy. It's like they don't have enough evidence to convict him and they want to drop it, but they also want to go to trial within the 70 days. Now, in the beginning, you waive your right to a speedy trial, but remember, he waived his right to a speedy trial and was supposed to have gone on trial in January.
Right.
So now with this filed, I've heard that the judge must hold the trial within the 70 days.
Well, we're talking about Judge
Yes,
Francine Gall,
exactly.
And she sort of runs by her own rules, it seems like.
But then I also heard, like I said, if the court's congested,
and she's real good at saying
she
no.
can get around it. Right. So this is going to be very interesting. Also, who the heck knows what game she's going to play with this hearing? Like, 30 things can come out between now and the March 18th hearing, which is a week from Monday. So actually, this isn't coming up next week. It's coming up the week after. Scott Peterson's coming up next week.
But I'm sure a lot of things will be coming up because I'm sure she's going to pull something.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, this poor man, like we said, we hope they have more. We don't know if they have more. But this dude needs to go to trial. I mean, just let I mean, you know, and if he's guilty, he's guilty, and if he's innocent, he's innocent. But I do not think that, I think this keeps getting dragged out because I don't think that the prosecutor is ready to go.
I don't think the prosecutor has a case. I think that's why he's dragging his feet. And for whatever reason, I have no idea why, and it's just my thoughts, but the judge really does seem to be in the prosecution's camp and will just bend over backwards to do whatever he wants her to do. For whatever reason, I have no clue why. But there's no other reason why he would be doing what he's doing.
Slick Nick? That's his nickname.
Yeah, Slick Nick. Because he's just dragging this thing out. He has nothing. And he knows he has nothing. And the problem is, too, that he sort of came on the case later. Like, he wasn't... When the girls were killed, he was not the original prosecutor back then.
Right.
There was somebody else. And then he came on later, and then he was throwing this at him. And normally, the prosecutors are going to say to law enforcement, okay, good, you have enough, we can make a case with this. Or, this is definitely not enough, go get me more. So he made the decision that it was enough, and I'm not sure why. Because if all he had going was that PCA, that wasn't enough. I'm hoping, I really honestly hope he has a whole chest full of evidence that he's ready to roll out a trial that's going to show this guy is definitely it. Otherwise, they're wasting everybody's time, and they should
money.
Be out looking for the real people.
And not to mention, if he had that, it probably would have gone to trial in January.
Probably, yes.
Now, another thing I found interesting is that they are bringing in relief to do some of Judge Gull's work so that she can focus on Delphi. Why not let another judge do Delphi? Because it's super high profile. Everyone is salivating to get this case, including Libredo, right? I mean, he said it right on court TV. I'd love to have it back. You know, he's like, yo, Baldwin and Rosie, hit me up, man. I'll help you out, you know. So, and now, this is also in addition to the fact that Mitch Westerman, who leaked the photos, is also supposed to go to trial, and that he filed not to go to trial. So that's going on too. So that's like a whole other weird thing.
That's what's cool about this case is there's so many different angles, there's so many different rabbit holes, there's so many things going on all over the place that it really does make it interesting.
Like I say, something is fishy in Delphi, and it's not the tropical fish in Ron Logan's alibi. No. And if you're a Delphi person, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So stay tuned, because Delphi is about to probably get even crazier than it is.
Yes.
And if it goes to trial in 70 days, I will be, oh my God, when I saw that news today, I started screaming in front of my forensics class, and they already think I'm crazy because I'm so into this stuff, and they were really looking a little concerned today. They're like, well, why don't you watch it? I'm like, I guess I can. We're in forensics class. Yeah. You know, so it was a little crazy to see that, because I've been waiting on this trial, and I thought I was going to have to brace myself till October. So my prediction, they're saying, so it would have to happen in May. I think it's going to be a little boogered up, and she's going to buy herself till June. That is my prediction on that. What do you think?
I'm going with October. Because she's good.
She pulls a bunch of...
Yeah, she's good.
I'll tell you what, she is the queen of deflect, right? Check and
deflect, deny. Yeah, I think it's going to go... I don't think it'll happen this summer. She's going to do something to drag it out.
Come on, summer, because I so want to go. So keep an eye on Delphi, because that probably is only going to get even crazier. I mean, unless they do it on the up and up, and then that'll be news because they've actually done something on the up and up, right?
Yeah, that'll be big news.
Also today, James Crumbly started his trial. Sadly, with the absence of Jennifer's defense lawyer, Susan Smith, I believe that was her name. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. It is not as entertaining, right? You watched part of the opening arguments, opening statements. Wait, it's closing arguments, opening statements, right? Yeah. And it's not half as entertaining, and she's not as good.
No, she's not.
Now, they had both wanted to have Susan Smith. Is it Susan Smith or Shannon Smith?
I think it's Shannon Smith.
Shannon Smith. So they had both wanted to have Shannon Smith, but there was a conflict because they're basically probably going to blame each other a little bit because he bought the gun. So James bought the gun, but Jennifer was the last person in possession of the gun because she took Ethan
Target shooting
to the shooting range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing I think that is going to make the jury more sympathetic about him, toward him, I should say. There I go, yelling at my students about prepositions and using the wrong one. That he was struggling to make a living. So she had a really good job. I mean, obviously she was making good money. Horses are a freaking fortune.
Yes, they are.
A horse is like a mortgage. If you board your horse, it's like another mortgage. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's upwards of well, back in the day it was like $1,000 a month. It's got to be upwards of $2,000 a month to board one horse, okay? And she was always going to that stable and stuff to ride. So her boss basically said at the trial, if you didn't watch, that's why we watch it for you.
Family comes first.
Family comes first, and she is able to, to put work on the back burner to deal with her family. Poor James was driving for DoorDash. Okay, so when she wouldn't take out Ethan and take him take him to get help that day or take him out of school that day when they were afraid that he was, that he was going to be a danger to himself, she was in the better position to take him home. He had to go and pick up somebody's DoorDash food.
And just listening to those opening statements really does paint the picture of her being more culpable than him.
And that's why she was tried first.
Yeah.
They tried the more culpable person first. Just like in the Russ trial. Update on that. Hannah was taken into custody right after. Guilty and taken into custody. Our minds were blown when we listened to it, right? And the defense lawyer tried to fight it. The state requested that Hannah get taken into custody. The defense lawyer tried to fight it, and the judge basically said, oh no, someone lost their life. Off you go. That's pretty much what went down with that.
And my feeling on that was when I saw that happen, and we were watching it live when it happened,
right?
That, she's going away for the full 18 months. She's getting a full sentence.
If they're tossing her in now, if they're putting her in now, she probably is.
And the fact that the judge was like, no, there was death. You're going.
You're going,
Yeah, I think she's going for the full term. I know there's a lot of thoughts out there. She might get 6 months, a year, and some probation. No, I think she's going for the full 18.
Most of the lawyers that I listen to on YouTube are saying at least a year. That's their prediction. So, and Alec Baldwin does not go on trial. He goes on in July, so that'll be. And I'll be home in July, so I can watch all that stuff. So, and I know that's not next week's preview, but that just happened, so I thought I'd bring that up. So James, I think he's going to be found guilty, but I think his sentencing will be less than Jennifer's. And another thing that's crazy is that Hannah, in the Russ trial, 18 months for involuntary manslaughter. Michigan, 15 years per offense. Jennifer Crumbly's looking at 60 years, and so is James.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think he will be found guilty, but he will get a lesser offense. How about you? A lesser sentence.
Alec, or who are you talking about, James?
James, yeah.
Yeah, he will be found guilty, and I don't even know if he'll do prison time.
You don't think he'll even do prison time?
I think his sentence will be very light, if he's even convicted at all. Just listening to that opening statement really turned my thinking around on him.
Was it the defense opening statement?
Yeah.
Another thing too, he was not having an affair that we know of.
No, and he was just out there working his ass off trying to do his thing.
Yeah, so definitely, and in today's day and age, you're going to take more pity on him because we're all struggling to pay our bills nowadays. You know what I mean? So, and you're not going to take pity on a mother who
having an affair, riding horses.
Yeah, and could have taken her kid. Your boss said go.
And doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, your boss said go. It's not like, if I'm a teacher, if I have to leave school, I got to get coverage and all that, and sometimes they can't cover me. But her boss was like, no, she could have gone.
Yeah.
So I think that will definitely be different. And you're right, he could be found guilty but not serve any time. He could just get probation or whatever, so.
Yeah, so I think if he is found guilty, he's going to get a far lighter sentence with whatever she's
A far lighter sentence.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up this week. And now,
The wine.
The wine.
Yes. So today we are drinking a dry Riesling from Mary's favorite winery, Montezuma Winery. Montezuma Winery is in the Finger Lakes, very far up in the Finger Lakes. It's one of the furthest ones up there.
It's
to get
the
to.
furthest. It's all the way out on Cayuga.
Yeah, it's
all the
top.
way at the top of Cayuga, Lake Cayuga.
But it's very good. All their wines are excellent. If you ever get a chance to go to Montezuma, go. They have a great tasting room, all sorts of great fudge, and they have a distillery. So there's tons of stuff there. There's something for everybody.
If
really.
you like fudge, the fudge is as good as the wine. Yep.
Yeah, the fudge is really good. And I don't know if you can hear a coonhound in the background,
Sorry
but I
about
guess
that.
we're getting the Amazon package apparently.
Okay, yeah, we definitely, and we keep saying we're going to update the dogs because they're very entertaining, our dogs, and interesting.
Yeah, someday we'll introduce
And their
them all.
stories of all because they're all rescues, so they're all
Yes.
rescues.
But
We are True Crime Wine Couple. Leave us comments. We love to interact with you. We'll be watching these trials. If you watch them and you want to come back and comment, we want to hear your comments. I need
Absolutely.
someone to interact with, my forensic students, and Peter's tired of talking to me.
until next time.